Right now, the main reason you are not her priority is simple. You are not living like a man who should be a priority. You keep shaping your day around her, checking your phone for her, planning your mood based on how she reacts, and then you act surprised when she treats you like an extra. You keep trying to slide into her life and impress her, and it keeps backfiring. You get ignored, left on read, canceled on, and deep down you feel it. You feel like a backup. And the worst part is, you keep accepting it. You have been taught to chase her attention instead of your own respect. You are trying to win her over while your own standards are on the floor. As long as you move like that, you are telling her, without words, that you are optional. People do not prioritize what feels easy to replace. If you move through life like you can be swapped out at any moment, she will believe it and act like it. Think about how you behave with her. You reply fast. You say yes to everything. You clear your plans if she suddenly decides she is free. You wait around, just in case she messages you later. You tell yourself you are being caring and loyal, but from her side, it looks different. It looks like you are sitting there with nothing going on, ready to be used whenever it suits her, and that kills respect. If you actually saw yourself as valuable, you would not accept last-minute changes all the time. You would not rearrange your own day for someone who barely commits to anything with you. Men who know their worth are not hanging on every small bit of attention they get. They do not stand by like a spare option. And this is the hard truth. The problem is not how women are. The problem is how you show up. When she knows you will always be there, no matter how she behaves, you become the safety net. She might focus on a different guy or on her own life, and when that slows down or fails, she falls back on you. You are the comfortable option. You are the one she can text after everyone else. You get what is left, and you stay. You teach her that this is okay. You stay in that position because you were scared to lose her. But you already lost the important part the moment you accepted being treated like that. You lost your standards. You lost your self-respect. You made her time more important than your time. And once you do that, she has no reason to treat you better, because there are no consequences when she does not. This pattern usually shows up in more than just dating. If you look closely, you probably do the same thing at work, with friends, with family. You say yes when you want to say no. You tolerate things that bother you. You avoid conflict because you do not want anyone upset with you. You confuse being nice with being useful, and you end up feeling drained. People get used to you adjusting to them instead of meeting you halfway. There is nothing wrong with being kind or respectful. The issue is when your kindness has no line, when you are kind at your own expense, when you are always available, always accommodating, always trying to make everyone comfortable while you ignore what you actually want. That is not kindness, that is fear, and people feel the difference even if they cannot explain it. Women do not lose interest because a guy is respectful. They lose interest because he has no edge, no backbone, no clear line where his standards start. A man who says yes to everything, who never pushes back, who never walks away, feels weak, and weakness does not create attraction. You might get sympathy from it, but you will not get desire from it. This is where stoicism comes in. Stoicism is not about being cold or dead inside. It is about understanding what you can control and what you cannot, and then putting your energy only into what you can control. You cannot control what she feels. You cannot control if she chooses you or not. You can control how you live, how you react, what you tolerate, and who you become. Most guys live the opposite way. They place all their emotional weight on how she acts. If she replies fast, they feel happy. If she replies slow, they feel anxious. If she cancels, their whole week feels ruined. One person ends up deciding their emotions for the day. That is how you give your power away. And that is how you become easy to move around. Emotional detachment, in the Stoic sense, is not about not caring about anything. It is about not letting her choices control your peace. She does not text back for a few hours, and instead of obsessing over it, you keep doing what you were doing. She seems distant for a bit, and instead of chasing harder, you watch, you give space, you stay calm. Your mood does not jump up and down based on small changes in her behavior. Most guys panic when a girl pulls back even a little. They start replaying every conversation, rereading messages, asking friends what they think went wrong. They start sending extra texts, long explanations, compliments, anything to get a reaction. That reaction does not come from confidence. It comes from fear. She feels that fear, even if you never say it. When you practice emotional detachment, you stop chasing reassurance. You stop scrambling for answers every time something feels off. You look at her actions as information, not as a judgment of your value. If she is interested, her effort will show it. If she is not, that will show too. You do not need to push. You watch. You adjust your effort to match hers. You stay solid. Women are drawn to stability, not exciting chaos, but real stability. A man who stays steady, under pressure, under tests, under confusion, is rare. When you do not blow up, when you do not argue over every mood change, when you do not become needy every time she is distant, you stand out. You become someone she can rely on, not someone she has to manage. Emotional detachment also frees your focus. When you are not constantly worried about what she thinks, you suddenly have space in your mind for other things. Your health, your money, your skills, your future. You have room for your own life. And once you start moving like that, women feel it. A man who is building something important is more attractive than a man who is waiting around. This is why having a mission matters so much. When you wake up with goals that have nothing to do with her, you become less reactive. You are not sitting there hoping she will give your day meaning. You already have structure and direction. She becomes part of your life, not the entire point of it. And that shift alone changes how she sees you. Now we have to talk about boundaries. If you do not set them, other people will set them for you, and they will not be in your favor. A boundary is not about controlling someone else. It is about deciding how you allow yourself to be treated. It is not a long speech. It is a quiet line between what you accept and what you refuse to accept. When a woman only contacts you on her schedule, when she always reaches out at the last minute, when she cancels often and expects you to be ready again whenever she feels like it, that is a test of your boundaries. If you keep accepting those situations, you are telling her that your time is flexible, that your plans are optional. A man with boundaries does not drop his entire evening because someone sent a sudden message. He might be free, but he still respects his own structure. If a pattern of last-minute contact continues, he does not complain or argue endlessly. He simply stops rewarding it with his time. His actions show that he values planning and respect, and that he does not move for people who do not show either. Boundaries apply to exclusivity too. If you are seeing a woman who openly keeps other options and treats you like one more name on a list, you have a choice. You can accept it and hope she eventually picks you, or you can be clear inside yourself that you do not stay in that situation. A man with standards does not fight other men for a spot. He steps away from anything that makes him compete for basic respect. The important thing is how you handle it when a boundary is crossed. You do not need drama. You do not need insults. You do not need long lectures. You just reduce or remove access. You stick to your standard even if you feel a loss. That is where your self-respect grows. Boundaries are not real until you are willing to act on them. Talking about standards brings us to your actions. Most men try to fix everything with words. They explain, they promise, they talk about how serious they are, how loyal they are, how different they are, but women hear similar speeches from many men. Words alone stop meaning much when everyone uses them. What actually matters is what you do consistently. Do you keep your word? Do you show up on time? Do you keep training, working, studying, even when you feel lazy? Do you stay calm when something goes wrong? Do you make decisions, or do you avoid them and push everything onto her? All those things say more about you than any long message. When you rely on words too much, you start trying to convince her. You repeat the same points. You try to justify yourself. You argue to prove your value. That is a weak position, because real value does not need constant defense. It shows through patterns. When your actions line up with what you say, people start trusting you without a lot of talk. Another mistake is being an open book from day one. You tell her everything, every feeling, every insecurity, every detail about your day. You send constant updates just to keep the connection alive. It feels honest to you, but from her side, it often feels like pressure. There is no mystery, no space, no curiosity. She knows you are always there, and she knows exactly what you are doing all the time. Mystery does not mean lying. It simply means you do not reveal everything immediately. You do not rush to fill silence with messages. You do not overshare just to get closer fast. You let time do its job. You let her wonder a bit about you. You let her ask questions instead of handing out your entire life story on the first few dates. A simple way to create this balance is to stop using your phone as a leash. You do not need to answer instantly if you are doing something important. You do not need to check in every hour and report what you are doing. You answer when it makes sense, you keep conversations light, you let them breathe, and then you go back to your life. Underneath all this is one core thing: your time. A man who does not value his own time will not be valued for long. If you constantly rearrange your plans to fit hers, if you drop your training, your work, your sleep, your hobbies, just to be available, you are sending a clear message. Your life is secondary. Her schedule is the main thing. You should have non-negotiables in your day. Things you do for yourself regardless of who you are dating. That could be the gym, your business, your studies, your family time, your rest. When you protect those things, you show that your world does not revolve around one person's attention. That makes you more grounded, and it also makes you more interesting. When you start putting your life first, you will notice something. The right women respect it. They do not try to pull you away from what matters to you. They fit in, they support. They adjust their own schedule sometimes. The wrong women get annoyed and try to punish you for having priorities that are not them. That reaction is useful information. Now look at effort. You might be pouring in your time, your attention, your energy. You are planning dates, starting all conversations, giving compliments, making yourself available, and in return you get a few low-effort replies, canceled plans, and excuses. If that sounds familiar, you are running one-sided relationships. The hard truth is that you allow this. You are teaching her that your full effort is available in exchange for very little from her side. She does not need to step up, because you never require her to. You keep showing up no matter what she does, so from her point of view, there is no reason to change anything. Instead of giving more in that situation, you should actually give less. Not out of anger, but out of self-respect. If effort drops on her side, You match that level or step back completely. You stop forcing conversations. You stop chasing for attention. You let the connection fade if she is not willing to invest. That space shows you everything you need to know. If she values you, she will notice the shift and make an effort. If she does not, she will let it go. Either way, you get clarity. You do not sit in the gray area for months, hoping that someday she will see what you bring. You stop accepting half interest is enough. You start expecting at least the same level of energy you give. Rejection is another thing that breaks most men. One ignored message, one canceled date, one breakup, and they fall apart. They start questioning their worth, their looks, their personality. They think one woman's decision means something is permanently wrong with them. That way of thinking is what keeps them weak. Rejection is part of dating. It will happen many times in your life. You cannot avoid it, but you can control how you respond to it. You can sit there and complain, or you can look at it without ego and learn from it. Maybe your standards were low. Maybe you were too available. Maybe you ignored red flags because you wanted it to work. Maybe you were not where you wanted to be in life yet. Looking at those things does not mean hating yourself. It means being honest. A stoic approach is simple. She is allowed to choose. You are allowed to choose what you do next. You do not need to insult her. You do not need to chase her. And you do not need to beg. You accept what happened. You look at your behavior and you improve the parts that are weak. When you do this consistently, rejection stops feeling like an attack and starts feeling like feedback. It tells you what you need to work on: confidence, appearance, communication, boundaries, purpose. Every time someone walks away, you adjust something in your life, and over time you become harder to replace. Rejection also protects your time. Staying attached to someone who does not want you wastes months or years. When they leave, it hurts, but it also frees you. You suddenly have space to meet someone who actually values you, and you have space to build a life that is attracted to more people, not just one. Another key part of this whole thing is how you handle her emotions. Women go through ups and downs, just like anyone. Some days they are affectionate and close, other days distant or stressed. Most guys either overreact to those changes or try to fix every feeling she has. They get pulled up and down with her mood, and soon both people are exhausted. You do not need to argue with every emotion she has. You do not need to mirror her frustration. You do not need to collapse just because she is having a bad day. You listen. You stay calm. You give support when it makes sense. And you keep your center. Your stability is more valuable than any perfect speech. When you stay steady like this, you become someone she can rely on. Not because you agree with everything or solve everything, but because you do not disappear when things feel heavy. You also do not explode. You keep your self-control. That self-control is a core part of stoicism and a core part of being attractive long-term. All these ideas connect to one main principle: scarcity. If your time, your attention, your energy, and your presence are given out without any limit, they start to look cheap. If you are always free, always responsive, always trying, there is no sense of value around you. You are just there, like background noise. You create scarcity by building a full life. Friends, work, hobbies, training, learning, rest, a real schedule. When your life is full, you naturally become less available. You are not ignoring people on purpose. You are busy living. And that is what creates respect. A man who is always free looks like he has nothing going on. A man who has to sometimes say no looks like he has purpose. A woman should fit into that life, not replace it, not control it. When she sees that you are willing to say no sometimes because you have something important to do, she might complain a little in the moment, but she will also feel that you are serious about your own path. That seriousness is attractive. Stoicism gives you a simple frame to follow. Focus on what you control: your actions, your reactions, your standards, your boundaries, your habits. Accept what you cannot control: her feelings, her choices, her opinion. When you stop trying to micromanage everything outside you, you get your power back. You move with more calm, and that calm makes you stand out. On a practical level, this means you start making different choices every day. You stop checking your phone first thing in the morning to see if she replied. You stop pausing your workout to answer every notification. You stop rearranging work or study plans because she suddenly became free. You start asking yourself, does this line up with the man I want to be? And you act based on that, not based on your fear of losing her. You also start raising your standards for yourself. You train even if you do not feel like it. You fix your sleep. You keep your space clean. You focus on your money and your career. You learn new skills. You build discipline. All of this changes how you feel about yourself, and that feeling radiates without you needing to brag about it. When you live this way, you become less reactive with women. You do not need them to fill gaps in your self-esteem, because you are filling those gaps with real achievements and habits. You are not perfect, but you are moving. You are not trying to look high value. You are becoming high value in real life. At that point, something shifts in the dynamic. You stop chasing women who barely want you there, and you start attracting women who see your value fast. You stop being scared of losing one girl, because you know you can meet others, and you know you can stand on your own. You become more relaxed, more playful, more selective. That is how you move from being an option to being a priority. Not by sending better messages, not by learning lines, not by studying tricks. You do it by changing how you see yourself and how you move every day. You stop asking, how do I make her want me? And start asking, how do I become a man I am proud of, with or without her? Women notice. They feel the difference between a man who is begging for a place in their life and a man who already has a strong life and simply invites them in. The second type of man is the one they treat as a prize, not as a backup. So if you are tired of being the second choice, start where you actually have control. Respect your time. Control your emotions. Set your boundaries. Match effort. Handle rejection with maturity. Build your mission. When you live like that, you stop asking someone to prioritize you. They do it on their own because the cost of losing you becomes too high.